Have you ever wondered if there's more to life than what we see? It's a question that lingers in the minds of many, sparking curiosity and inviting introspection. In the vast tapestry of human existence, it compels us to explore beyond the confines of our physical reality. This curiosity brings us to the profound biblical narrative of Ezekiel and the Valley of Dry Bones, a tale that contemplates life beyond death. Today we dive into a biblical story that will challenge your perceptions. The story of Ezekiel and the Valley of Dry Bones. Ezekiel was no ordinary prophet. He was a man of vision, a man of prophecy, and a man of faith. Born into a priestly family, his life took a dramatic turn when he, along with thousands of his fellow countrymen, was exiled to Babylon. Amidst the despair and the dust of a foreign land, Ezekiel found his divine calling. His prophecies were not just messages, they were vivid visual experiences. He didn't just speak, he painted pictures with his words, images that would remain etched in the minds of his people. Ezekiel's visions were not meant to merely foretell the future, but to inspire hope, to ignite faith, to provoke change. A conduit of divine communication, Ezekiel bore witness to some of the most powerful prophetic visions in biblical history. His visions were profound, and one of the most striking was that of the Valley of Dry Bones. Imagine a valley vast and wide, filled with bones as far as the eye could see. Now let's journey together into this vision that Ezekiel had. A vision so vivid, so surreal, it's as if we were standing right there beside him. In the heart of this vision there lies a valley. Not just any valley, but one that is expansive and desolate. It's a valley filled to the brim with dry bones. Picture the sun casting long shadows over the bleached bones, scattered haphazardly across the barren landscape. It's a sight that would send shivers down the spine of the bravest amongst us. These bones, they weren't just remnants of life, they were symbols, metaphors, if you will. Each bone, each skeletal structure represented something lost, something that once was but is no longer. They were echoes of a past life, a past civilization perhaps now reduced to mere fragments. But as Ezekiel observed this eerie spectacle, he felt something stir within him. A sense of purpose perhaps, or a spark of divine inspiration. He felt a deep, resonating connection with these lifeless, dry bones. He saw beyond the surface, beyond the apparent desolation and death. He saw potential, he saw hope. Now you might ask, hope in a valley of dry bones? Yes, my friends, hope. Because Ezekiel's vision was not just of death and desolation, it was a vision of resurrection, of revival. It was a vision of dry bones coming to life, of a dead valley blooming once again. It was a vision not of an end, but of a new beginning. This vision, this prophecy, was a message from the divine. A message that even in the face of immense despair and hopelessness, there is always potential for renewal, for rebirth. And then something extraordinary happened. As Ezekiel stood amidst this valley of dry bones, he was given a command, a divine directive that would change everything, but that's a story for the next scene. For now, let's sit with this vision of a valley vast and wide, filled with dry bones, waiting for life to be breathed back into them. In the silence of death, there came a voice that echoed through the valley of dry bones, resonating with a divine authority that permeated the air. This voice belonged to none other than the Almighty, speaking to Ezekiel, a mere mortal in the face of the divine. The voice of the Lord carried a prophecy, a promise of life amidst death. The Lord said to Ezekiel, "Prophesy over these bones and say to them, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord God to these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live." Imagine the scene, a valley filled with dry bones, a symbol of utter desolation and hopelessness. Yet in this valley there was a promise of life, a prophecy of resurrection. It was a prophecy not just for the bones, but for a nation, for a people who had lost their hope, their home, and their identity. As Ezekiel began to prophesy as he was commanded, there was a sound, a rattling sound that filled the valley. The bones began to move, to come together, bone to its bone, each piece finding its match, forming skeletons that stood in the valley. A sight that was as eerie as it was miraculous. But the miracle didn't stop there. As Ezekiel watched, sinews began to form on the bones, then flesh, and then skin, yet there was no breath in them. Again the voice of the Lord came to Ezekiel, "Prophesy to the breath, prophesy, Son of man, and say to the breath, Thus says the Lord God, Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe on these slain that they may live." And as Ezekiel prophesied, breath came into them, and they lived and stood on their feet, an exceedingly great army. It was a sight to behold, a manifestation of the divine power and promise, a prophecy fulfilled in the most extraordinary way, in a valley of dry bones. From death, life emerged, a great army rose from the valley. This was the prophecy given to Ezekiel, a prophecy that spoke of hope, restoration, and resurrection. It was a message for all times, a reminder of the divine power that brings life from death, hope from despair, and restoration from destruction. But what does this vision mean? This question has echoed through the annals of time, reverberating in the hearts of those who have delved into the tale of Ezekiel and the Valley of Dry Bones. Our journey through this story takes us to a place of deeper understanding. The vision of the dry bones, scattered and devoid of life, represents a state of despair. It is a portrayal of a circumstance that seems hopeless, a condition where dreams have withered away and aspirations have crumbled to dust. It's a depiction of a barren valley where the vibrancy of life appears to have been lost forever. However, the essence of this vision lies not in the desolation it depicts, but in the transformation it promises. It is here that the narrative takes a turn, lifting the veil of despair and illuminating the path of hope. The dry bones, under the prophetic command of Ezekiel, begin to rattle and shake, coming together bone to bone. They are covered with sinews, flesh, and skin, and are filled with the breath of life. This is a powerful metaphor, a testament to the power of faith and the promise of renewal. It signifies that no matter how dire the situation, no matter how desolate the landscape of our lives may seem, there is always the possibility of revival. It speaks to the strength that lies within faith, the ability to bring life to what seems lifeless, to find hope in the midst of despair. It's a call to believe in the power of transformation, to trust in the potential for renewal that lies within us and around us. It's a call to keep the flame of hope alive, even when surrounded by the cold winds of adversity. In the context of faith and hope, the vision of Ezekiel in the Valley of Dry Bones is not just a story, it's a message. It's a reminder that despair is not the end, but a beginning. It is the starting point of a journey towards renewal, a journey fueled by faith and hope. In the face of despair, the story of Ezekiel and the Valley of Dry Bones brings a message of hope and renewal. So we return to our initial question. In the quiet whispers of our hearts, we've journeyed through the tale of Ezekiel and the Valley of Dry Bones. We've walked through the arid valley, heard the rustle of dry bones, and witnessed the divine prophecy of life breathed back into what was once dead. Now, as we stand on the edge of this valley, we have a vantage point to reflect on the key points of this story. Ezekiel, a man called upon by divine intervention, was confronted with a vision of a valley filled with dry bones. The sight was daunting and bleak, a representation of desolation and hopelessness. Yet, through the divine prophecy, these dry bones were imbued with life, symbolizing the restoration of hope and the triumph of life over death. This story, as we've discovered, is far more than a historical account. It is a metaphorical representation of the human condition. It speaks to our own valleys of dry bones, our moments of despair, our seasons of hopelessness. It assures us that even in the midst of our most desolate valleys, there is the potential for renewal and rebirth. As we trace the arc of this story, we see that it is not just about the resurrection of dry bones. It is about faith, hope, and the transformative power of divine intervention. It encourages us to believe in the possibility of new life, even in the most barren of landscapes. It invites us to trust in the divine, to believe in the power of prophecy, and to hold on to hope, even when all seems lost. The tale of Ezekiel and the Valley of Dry Bones isn't just a story of a man and his vision. It is a story about us, about our struggles and our hopes. It is a story that echoes through the ages, resonating with our own experiences and inviting us to find hope and faith in the midst of our personal valleys. So as we conclude this journey, let's hold on to the message of this tale. Let's remember that no matter how dry, how lifeless our valleys may seem, there is always hope. there is always the potential for new life, for transformation, for rebirth. Life can spring from even the driest of bones. This is the everlasting hope that the story of Ezekiel and the Valley of Dry Bones brings to us all.